Sensei Craig coming at you from the Samurai Virtual Dojo with another tutorial video for solo practice, some things that you can practice at home. And in today's tutorial, we're going to look at using some resistance for solo training of our stances. In the dojo, I often do a stance warm-up exercise or training exercise that we like to call walking the mountain, where we transition or move from stance to stance. Could be the same stance over and over or different stances. So for example, Zenkutsudachi, stepping forward into Nekowashidachi, stepping forward into Shikudachi, for example. Okay, I'm ready to begin. Just before though, a couple of quick tips. Number one, as I've said before, make sure that the tube or the resistance is anchored below your pelvic floor, slightly down. We don't want it anchored higher than your pelvic floor. Okay, and also make sure you're working with an appropriate amount of resistance. Too much resistance is going to cause problems. Not enough resistance, there's not really any point doing the exercise. Okay, so let's have a look at some ways that we can walk the mountain. So, from a position of mild resistance, which is where I'm beginning today, I start or commence in Heikodachi. From this position here, I'm going to step forward into my first stance, which will be left leg forward Zenkutsudachi. Okay, you can do this with or without a hand action. I'm just going to step into a nice strong stance, creating that resistance and holding there isometrically for about 10 to 15 seconds. Make sure I'm enforcing good connection, strong position, everything nice and correct. From there, I'm going to step back and complete that on the other side of the body. Again, holding for 10 to 15 seconds. Use a stopwatch or an interval timer. Now, of course, I can repeat that with Nekowashidachi, Shikudachi. So for example, with Shikudachi, I can step this way or this way. You see that resistance kicks in there. Okay. Reps and sets, up to you. So you might decide to do, say, 10 to 15 reps of Zenkutsudachi, holding each one for 10 seconds before moving on to Nekowashidachi. Or you might do Zenkutsudachi left, Zenkutsudachi right. Nekowashidachi left, Nekowashidachi right. And do it more like that and then repeat that sequence. Okay, let's have a look at another way to challenge the movement. Okay, so with this particular iteration of the walking the mountain exercise, I'm going to place a little more emphasis and stress on a second stance or a second movement. So, to start with, that's going to be stepping with my right leg. So, let me explain. I'm going to step in with my left leg under light tension, resistance or load, and then I'm going to step, and that's without returning to Heikodachi. So, I'm going to start with very minimal resistance on the tube and step in with my left leg. So this is not too stressful. But from here now, I'm going to stay down and I'm going to step in Zenkutsudachi. Now as you can see, under load, my legs are carrying a lot more resistance now and I'm holding that there. So I stepped in left and then stepped over into right leg forward. And as I did earlier, I'm holding for about 10 to 15 seconds. From that position there, I return to my mark, which for me is this line here. Now I'm going to repeat that with the other leg. So stepping forward with the right leg into light resistance or load, holding, and then stepping with my left leg under a medium to heavy resistance now. And I'm holding there. Okay, again, 10 to 15 seconds, and then I can return to my starting position. I can perform the movements with Neko Ashidachi, of course. Shikodachi works as well. Sanshindachi, for example. Just before I finish up, I thought I'd show you one more that I just thought of. So, starting with a bit more of a resistance here, still a light to medium load. From here, another adaptation of the first exercise is that we can come back to Haikodachi, but not settle in Haikodachi. So, doing it as a circular movement exercise. Let me show you what I mean. So, I'm going to start left leg forward under medium resistance and hold. But when stepping back now, I'm not going to stop in Haikodachi. I'm going to step back and forward with the right leg. Of course, increase or decrease the resistance as you need. Out and forward. Now with this particular exercise, I'm not going to hold in the position as long. Maybe 3 to 5 seconds. Just to ensure I've got a good connection. Of course, I can do this with Neko Ashidachi, Shikodachi, Sanshindachi, other stances as well. Alright, thanks for joining me for another tutorial video. Hope you enjoyed that. That's another great one to add into your training. Remember that walking the mountain with that resistance can be done as a solo exercise or build it into a warm-up, obviously with less sets and reps. If you want to make it a main part of your training, it can make a really good leg workout, depending on how you structure it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Let us know what you think. For now, this is Sensei Craig saying goodbye from the Samurai Virtual Dojo. Look forward to training with you again soon. Os!